Ours is the cause of human dignity, freedom guided by conscience and guarded by peace. This ideal of America is the hope of all mankind. That hope drew millions to this harbor. That hope still lights our way. And the light shines in darkness, and the darkness will not overcome it. Hope in the face of adversity is something we've heard much about in our nation this past year. Hope in the face of adversity is something we have all witnessed firsthand, and because of it, we have grown stronger and we have taken more time to enjoy and appreciate the many blessings of life. Hope in the face of adversity is something I've experienced in a very personal way over the past several months. In February, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor that had caused significant hearing loss in my right ear. Because of the seriousness of my illness, my doctor recommended that I go to a surgeon who specialized in the removal of this type of tumor. On May 29th, my wife Jackie and oldest son Bill and I boarded a plane for Los Angeles, California for me to have surgery on May 31st. We were having to leave everyone who loved us to go far away for a very unknown destiny. We were having to place my hope for the preservation of my life in the hands of doctors and caregivers who we have never even met. Those doctors and those caregivers took wonderful care of us, and by the grace of God, my tumor is now gone. God is so good. My life was saved, and once again, I have hope for myself, my family, my future, and my work. This is what the ministry of Wesley Village is all about, providing hope to residents and families for a future of good things yet to come in life, even in the face of adversity that aging often brings. Providing hope to all we serve is our mission, it's our passion, it's our sole purpose in all we do at Wesley Village. I want you to hear some personal stories from family members who have experienced for themselves this real hope at Wesley Village. You will hear from Tim and Sue Philpott. Tim's mother, Virginia, has resided at the village for 5 years, living first in a patio home and now in Hahn Manor. Greg and Debbie Arena will share their story. Debbie's aunt, Helen Haddon, resides in Hahn Manor. Please listen closely as these family members express from their hearts how they have experienced hope at Wesley Village.
Well, Sue and I were so excited when my mother decided to come to Wesley Village, because we had always been concerned that she would be attached to her home and never want to leave. And the first time she saw it down here, though, she was ready to move. And the day after she got here, she was not disappointed at all, and she's been happy since the first day that she was here. She started by moving into a patio home. She had one of the really nice places. She had a beautiful backyard, essentially, that she talked about a lot, and she spent a lot of her time on the back patio with all the glass. And while she still had all of her furniture from home in her new place there, her patio home, and so she immediately felt like she was at home even from the very first day. And but then the beauty of it is that the opportunity was there to move to Hahn Manor when it became necessary. And Mom began to have some physical difficulties, and she needed to take medicine on a regular basis, and she needed to make sure she ate right. Now it's like clockwork. You know, the nurses are there. She eats 3 times a day. Don't tell her I said this, but she's gotten a little bit fat. And she gets her pills, you know, which is nothing major, but it needs to be there regularly every day at certain times. And she's taken care of. When we suggested to her that she go to Hahn Manor, at first she was not too crazy about the idea, but immediately, as soon as she got to Hahn Manor, she was completely comfortable. And we were concerned about how she would react moving in with other people and eating with other people. My mother's always been very private, and because my dad was an evangelist, she's used to being by herself and actually likes to be by herself a lot of times. And but as soon as she got over to Hahn Manor, she realized that she was being taken care of, and she realized she was going to eat right, and she was going to get her medicine, and all of the things that she needed would be there. And she immediately smiled and said she was totally happy. And even today at 88, she's happy. And that's the main thing I think that Sue and I care about, is that my mother be happy. You know, when you're 88, you have a right to be happy. And she's a happy lady now at Wesley Village.
We came to Wesley Village because I have an aunt who is 75, and she's mentally handicapped. She had come to live with us, and she had been living with us for about a year. The way that she came to live with us is that her mother, who was my grandmother, her mom was very, very special to me. My grandmother and I had a very, very special relationship, and my grandmother having this mentally handicapped child, the greatest concern in her life was, what's going to happen to this child when I die? And so, because my grandmother had meant so much to me, I realized that the greatest gift I could give my grandmother was to promise that I would take care of this child for her when my grandmother was gone. Even though my husband and my children were very, very supportive, it just got to the point that I knew something had to change. And this was very hard because I had promised my grandmother that I would take care of my aunt. And in my grandmother, I knew that my grandmother never, ever wanted Helen to go into an institution or a home, because in my grandmother's mind, a place like that, there were places that she knew about where elderly people had been abused, and we didn't want that. After a lot of prayer, and struggling with feelings of guilt, we made the decision that this was what was best. And it has been. I mean, it has been so wonderful. It has been so wonderful. Every time we come out here, the first few times I'd come out here and I'd say, "Are you doing okay? Are you doing okay?" And it was like she knew what I was asking without asking her, and she would just spontaneously say, "These people are treating me real nice out here. They're real nice to me out here."
We had to look at the situation that the Lord had opened up this door and had given us so many positive aspects and so much peace about it, that we realized that when Debbie committed to her grandmother to take care of Aunt Helen, that this was truly taking care of Aunt Helen in the best way that we knew how, with people that were going to love her and care for her just like we would and we do. And so it was a peaceful thing, and it really gave us a situation where we could look and say, these remaining years of life are so much brighter for Helen and for our family as we interact. And that's really given us a real hope that these remaining years are an enlightenment. And we've noticed that for the first time in 75 years, Helen has an independence that is unique in this situation that she never had before.
It's not like it's a job for them. It's a ministry for them. And when you're doing something that you're doing because you love people and you love the Lord, your heart's different about it, and it's not a drudgery. And that's one of the things I see out here. And to add to what Greg said about Helen having a life, she does. I mean, for the first time in 75 years, it's like she has a life.
Tim, Sue, Greg, and Debbie have shared from their hearts how Wesley Village is truly a special place of hope. As the village's residents, family members, staff, and board of directors continue to put their hope in God, we invite you to partner with us through your prayers and financial gifts so that our residents will always have the services, facilities, and most importantly, the hope, love, and care they need and so richly deserve. With your prayers and financial gifts, the residents and families served by Wesley Village will always have a hope and a future.